All right, guys. Head Coach Bobby Hurley. We're going to let Coach kind of open up with the statement, and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, obviously, we're just still thrilled with what we accomplished, and I want our players to enjoy every step of the way here with this. They've earned it. At the same time, we're just going to treat this week like any other week, really preparing and to play. And whatever we've been doing the last few weeks has been real successful, and we're going to try and bring the team into the game the same way we brought the team into the conference tournament, last week. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's nothing like this tournament, and I'm just excited for my team to have the opportunity to play in it.
Justin Moss told us he figures he can be 100% by Friday. And how much improvement have you seen from him as far as that ankle goes?
He played, his normal minutes or even exceeding his minutes in the championship game. He had a double-double in that game. I think he's making progress every day, and I think he's right. He knows his body better than I do, but I think we have a good plan in place getting him into this game. He was very limited yesterday. He's going to be very limited today, and then where he's getting plenty of treatment, and he'll have 2 really good solid days of practice leading into the game on Friday. I'm happy that we're playing on Friday too. It gives us an extra day, particularly with him, and then also just the emotion and the excitement and everything that our players went through Saturday night. Each day that we get is beneficial for us.
When you say limited, that was just precautionary. You just don't want to, just give that ankle as much time to heal.
At this time of year, the programs everywhere are very limited in their practice time anyway. Most teams aren't practicing more than an hour and a half at this time of year. So Justin, missing a day or two is not going to impact, how he's going to play. If anything, it's going to, give him a chance to heal and make sure that that's the most important thing, just that he gets his explosiveness back as much as possible.
Bobby, West Virginia comes in ranked #1 in the country in offensive rebounding. Just how big of a challenge will it be to keep them off the glass as much as possible, and what do you have to do that effectively?
You look at the numbers and you see it, but then when you watch the tape, you see why. They're very athletic. They're very thick and physical, and they play a very physical style, and their coach is a very hard-nosed coach that has coached that way his entire career, and his teams have always played tough. So we're going to have to be up for the challenge of that, the physicality of the game, both on the backboard and then handling their pressure. And they're one of the best teams in the country of creating turnovers.
How about, could you expand on that a little bit? Their press, they do it pretty much consistently, start to finish, right?
Yeah, and they do it in a number of different places. A game that I watched versus Iowa State. Iowa State didn't run any plays. They have one of the best coaches in the country at designing offense, Fred Hoiberg, and West Virginia trapped them all over the place and didn't allow them to run anything. And it's almost like at certain points in our game on Friday, if they continue to play, defend that way, our guys are going to have to make plays and improvise on offense. And we have guys that have done that. Shannon does that. Lamonte does that. So I feel good if they're in a position to be playmakers in the game on Friday.
But it's, at least all 5 guys have to handle the ball a little bit, or 4 of the 5 anyway, right now.
Yeah, I think there'll be some circumstances that because of the quickness and Shannon and Lamonte's ability to handle pressure, that they'll be able to do it some themselves, but Xavier's going to have to do it. Jaron's going to have to do it. Rodell. Everyone's going to have the ball in their hands at some point, like you said.
Kentucky, if I recall, came out at the start of the second half and pressed, for about 10 minutes there. Is the way you remember it? Would that be the best press you faced?
They pressed us early too, and we handled it well, and then we broke it, and a couple of times that's where Jaron got loose for threes, and that got us in that game early. And then when they separated from us, we had a few times where we didn't handle it well. And I think also the crowd, affected us and made it worse as well. I don't think at that point in the year the guys had played in a game like that. So we've been tested a lot more since then, and I think that they'll be ready for it.
What do you think is the best MAC in league? Did the press that you're the toughest one, or do you think the game where you had that maybe you had the lead and you were really facing that?
I mean, no one really tried it that much. Miami of Ohio did some when we got a big lead. I think some of that was our fault as coaches not staying on them to be as attached to the game. We kind of let our guard down some in that one when they got back in it with some pressure.
When you talk about matching their physicality, it's a fine line between being too physical and picking up fouls. How important will it be to stay out of foul trouble and make sure you have your entire roster available to you at any given moment? Yeah,
I mean, it's just about the stuff that we do and drilling. We're a pretty good rebounding team, and we got some guys that are big and athletic, and it's going to be the mental part of being disciplined enough to put a body on those guys and make sure you're not trying to just get into a jumping contest with them, because they're going to win that. And we'll drill on that and reinforce it to the guys. And it's not only the responsibility of our interior players; it's everyone. We'll talk about 5 guys rebounding.
Bobby, how happy are you for Will Regan that he's been able to find success in his new role, both on the court and in terms of leadership for the team as well?
Yeah, I mean, Will's a great kid, and when I took over, his work ethic and his leadership were immediately apparent to me. I knew that I had a player that I could really trust and that would help set up the culture that I was looking for, because he would do whatever I asked of him, and that hasn't changed this year. It's hard for him at the time, probably for him personally to accept the role that he did, but he did. And, I couldn't be any happier for the game he had versus Bowling Green here, for us to put up those type of numbers in a game that meant so much. I mean, as much as winning the conference tournament was, putting us in a position to only have to win 2 games was huge, and Will was arguably, the best player in that game. So I'm happy for him.
Coach, in a lot of games this year that you've had success against good teams, you haven't really turned the ball over 6, 5, 7 times. The experience of winning games against good teams without turning the ball over, how important is that against this very good team? Yeah,
I mean, that's like the deal. Like, we play fast and we try and get up and down the court, and and we do that, and we take care of the ball. So it's going to be a little different in this game, because they're going to challenge us, for 40 minutes, and it's never going to stop, and they just keep coming at you. So it's going to be a challenge, and we may have a few more turnovers than usual in this game, but we got to try and eliminate the live ball turnovers that just lead to baskets for them, because we want to try and make them work to score against our defense.
Bobby, did you get a chance to reflect that maybe that within a 5-hour span on Saturday, Bray, Amaker, and you made it into the tournament, and Bray did it against Coach K, and just what the significance of that, and have you thought about it?
I mean, I was happy when I saw that they won it, and I knew they were, the Notre Dame was already in anyway, so it's a little bit of a different situation. But those guys meant a lot to me too. Just when I played at Duke, they were both assistant coaches, and I always root for them, and always loved seeing them on the road, and as I'm recruiting and stuff. So I'm always happy for them.
Have you got a sense, Bobby, of the just kind of how the community is sort of rallying behind this team, and how much has that helped, if any?
It was tremendous. On the court, when we were cutting the nets down, and to have people come up to me and just say thanks, and this is how great it was, and to share it out with a lot of people. And back at the hotel, same thing. Just to have so many people that have maybe not been knocking at the door at certain points over the years, but never could break through, and to do it and to see the response, and to feel people get excited about basketball. Look, I knew coming here that it was a great sports town, and more of a football and hockey town with the Bills and the Sabres. But I'm glad to see that maybe there's a place for us in what we're doing, because it's we have a lot of good young players now that have tasted becoming a champion, and we're recruiting at a high level, and I think that this is a program that could continue to take off.
Coach, we talked about your defense, and that's something that you've told me a lot of times. The second half of the year has gotten a lot better. They don't shoot a very good percentage from the floor. So how much do you want to key in on keeping their guards out of penetration, getting easy baskets, and making them shoot 18 feet and beyond? Yeah, I mean, we're going to try and eliminate or limit dribble penetration, and then we have to rebound, and then we have to limit turnovers that lead to transition points. If we could set our defense, play 5-on-5, I think that we could do a pretty good job against them defensively.
Do you get a new appreciation of what coaches go through at the NCAA? I mean, you've gone through it as a player. What coaches now go through at this time of year, as this being your first?
Yeah, my schedule's been a lot different over the last 2 days than it's been the rest of the year. I mean, I'm literally timed out, and I just managed to get my 3-mile run in this morning on the treadmill, and because the rest of my day is completely structured. So yeah, it's different, but I'll take it. It's a good problem to have.
Right, because you get an appreciation with what Coach K went through. I mean, and because in some ways, right?
I talked to Coach K about it, and he said to stay focused with your team, to make sure your team is listening to your message, and that's the message that you want them to follow. And then he also wanted me to talk to as many people as I could talk to. He's like, this is a great opportunity for you to promote your program nationally, and with the game on Friday, we'll talk to as many people as we can to get the message out about what we're doing here.
Bobby, what was the message for your team that Coach K imparted to you?
I mean, for me, it's just like, don't listen to anything that anyone's saying except us. People might say that we're supposed to win now, or that we're the popular pick here to upset because we're a 12-5 game, or that we're the hottest team coming in. And then there's some other people that say we don't have a shot because they're a Big 12 team and they're physical, and I just want them to concentrate on what we've been doing and not get caught up in any of that stuff.
Coach, on Sunday you talked about how your assistants maybe don't get the credit they deserve. Can you just kind of talk about their role this year? I asked some of the guys, and they're really appreciative for what they do for them. But just how much your staff means to you. Well,
I mean, it's the recruiting that they do. It's been primarily Nate Oates and Levi Watkins have recruited at a high level, and then it's the daily work that they put in. I see Levi Watkins and Nate Oates and Ben Wood at all different times of the day doing some individual workouts with our players in addition to practice. I mean, it's stuff that that I did at Wagner in Rhode Island as an assistant coach. It's one of the responsibilities, but it's a way that they connect further with the players, which is another layer, another bridge from the coaching staff to the team, where they know that we're invested in helping them get better. And I just think we have a good chemistry. Like our staff relates very well, to the players. And if you can't relate well to them, you're not going to get the most out of them when they're playing. They're not going to play for you. So especially our assistants have done a great job at it.
Coach, you've got 2 Canadians playing valuable minutes for your team, and obviously there's been a lot more basketball at the high level being played up there recently.
Yeah.
With this run, and do you think that could become an area where, this Canada, a key area for you? I mean,
you'd see that, the type of talents coming out of there, and, I'm happy that we have, the players we have from Canada. Jaron is one of my favorite kids to coach. I love coaching that kid. I love being around him. He's such a great kid, and, he's, such a clutch shooter, and, a guy that I count on. I mean, I talk to him about how I'm going to be handling practices. I ask him for feedback about how he's feeling. Should I back off some with the practice time? Like I run a lot through him, and because I trust his leadership, and then Rodell has been outstanding. The last couple of weeks, just his physical play. He brings something different to our team that we don't have. We didn't have last year a guy like him that is 6'5" and is strong and can play. He could guard anybody in the perimeter, and he goes to the glass really hard. So I mean, if all the Canadians we're looking at are like those two guys, then I'd take them. Yeah.
Bobby, speaking of Rodell, the play, the alley-oop the other night looked a lot like Grant Hill's dunk against Kansas. Do you run some of the same plays or some of the same flavor you ran with Duke?
No, that was just like something that I don't know. I get these plays that I want to try sometimes, and I'm really stubborn because I tried the same play with Lamonte going to the rim earlier in the game, and it wasn't there. And I said, I know it's going to be there. I think it'll be there this time. Let's have Rodell try it, and so it worked, and I'm happy it worked. I like to use him, in those situations, and we got him a couple of times that way, getting to the rim, and he gets excited, and his teammates do. Those are type of plays that, are worth more than 2 points in terms of how your team feels after it happens.
Shannon admitted that you kind of bring some of the Duke flavor, some of the things you did at St. Anthony's, and just kind of throw it into a blender, and that's some of the plays that you guys run. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean,
it's our offense is more built like an NBA team would run offense. I watched a lot of NBA stuff, watched a lot of international, which my brother did as well. We watched like the European championships, and I would tape and see what those teams are doing at those levels and take some things from there. Our offense is very quick hitting. We don't have drawn out possessions. Very rarely do we get deep in a shot clock, and we want to play a lot of possessions. It's the type of basketball that our players we're preparing them for if they're good enough for the next level, and that's just my style. We scored a lot of points at Duke when I played there. We averaged like 89 points my junior year. I want to get up and down. I trust the guys that they enjoy playing that way. They don't want to walk the ball up the court, so it works for us.
And the European Championships is a flowing game with good catching and passing.
Yeah, passing, spacing the court out. It's more space and then a lot of ball screens. And, there's in the international game and then, in the NBA, it's driven by ball screens. And that's, another thing with West Virginia that they do so well is guard ball screens. So we're going to have to work on that during the week in practice. They're very aggressive in their ball screen defense.
2 years ago, the big question was, everybody knew who you were, but could you coach? How much? Because you're, the lack of experience, even though you're the pedigree that you grew up in. How much do you think you've dispelled that notion?
I mean, I've been in locker rooms my whole life. I grew up around it. My dad did it very well. As a player, I've been in some great locker rooms, seeing what's going on in those places. Spending time with my brother for 3 years, seeing how he runs it. I think I know how to prepare a team. I think we know how to work in the off season. We put a lot of time in, and we prepare our players. We practice very hard, and then leading into the game, we try and watch film, get our team ready, and then when the ball goes up, it's probably as comfortable as I feel. Like leading into the game, the 6 hours before, you don't want to be around me. It's like scary what I'm looking like. I mean, I'm falling apart at the seams. That's why I try and avoid the players as much as I can on game day and not be around them so they don't get a sense of how tense I am or something. But then as soon as the game starts, it's like I feel like this is where I should be.
Coach, have you shared any of your tournament experience with your players leading up to this game? Have you shared with them any specific stories or anything like that?
When we were struggling in 6-6, I showed them clips of me playing versus UNLV when we lost by 30. And I showed them a 5-minute video of all the worst plays that happened to me in that game. And then we showed them the video the next year beating them. So I just wanted to get them contrast and say you gotta open yourself up to possibly getting your heart broken when you play, and that's how you gotta invest in this. And then the flip side is, there's also a chance you could do this, which is really special. And I just wanted them to see it. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of things that happened to me, and I don't know if it made any difference or if they couldn't wait to get out of there, but I just wanted them to see the possibilities and the excitement of what it could be like, to play in an NCAA tournament.
Bobby, you mentioned baskets that are worth 2 points but worth so much more. I think you've had 5 different players on SportsCenter top 10. Just what that playmaking ability of almost your whole roster can bring to the floor.
Well, it's when you play the fast style and you create turnovers and you get out in the open court, things like that happen. It's the brand of basketball. The guys want to play. It's great for them. I'm happy for them. They get to, feel good about themselves on SportsCenter because, this is a program right now that we're trying to build nationally, but it's not there yet, and it's getting there. It's great for them to get that type of exposure because, a lot of the high majors get it every day playing on national TV all the time. We don't get that, so I'm happy when it happens for them.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you.